we're in control all the time, but we have been taken away from the fact that we have that power, that control. So over time, we just believe that conditions dictate our state, but really we dictate our state. And therefore, when we dictate our state, that means we change our mindset, we shift our energy. When we shift our energy, we create our reality from that energy.
So do you ever envy those so-called hashtag couples goals?
Well, when you first fall in love with someone, you get butterflies every time you see them.
You lust them.
You're infatuated with them.
You want to be with them all the time, like best friends.
Do you want that to last forever?
Together, let's discover what it takes to say a massive yes to all the above through our topical discussions, our world-renowned guests that will help guide the way to a happier, sexier, and fun-loving relationship.
We're not doctors or therapists. We are just two normal individuals who have had many ups and downs in our 23-year relationship.
And counting.
We've amassed our own wisdom over the years, but we're still learning, just like you.
Nina and I believe you can have it all and still live your best lives, as long as you're willingly and consistently discover each other in new ways. And that right there is what the show is all about.
We're Nina.
And Roger.
And this is the Henry Hill Show.
Yeah, baby.
Today, I am so excited, you guys. I have a special guest on the show. She's one of my dearest friends. She's not only smart and beautiful, but she's a speaker, she's a wellness specialist, she's a weight loss expert, she's a mindset coach, trainer, and a black belt martial artist. She is so beautiful inside and out, and she's one of those people that, when you're around her, you just feel her energy, and it just makes you feel so amazing. And I wanted her on the show because I wanted to feel her energy. I wanted you to feel lighter, healthier, and energized by her presence and her beauty and her, expertise. So without further ado, please welcome my dear friend, Penny Phang, to the Head Over Heels Life.
Hello, Nina.
Hi, Ray. I'm so excited to have you here. We've been talking about this for a long time, and it's finally happening. You're on my show.
I know, all in perfect timing, right?
So I want you to begin just by introducing yourself to our audience. Tell them who you are and where you came from and all of that good stuff.
Yes. Okay. Well, that's a loaded question, but I'm going to cut it short as fast as I can. I was born and raised in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and I'm sure most can, relate to a rough childhood. A lot of abuse involved. So, right? Mental, physical, emotional abuse. It's most people are familiar with something to that nature, right? Different varying degrees. But so, yes, I had gone through one of those types of upbringing. And of course, it kind of affects you perception wise. You start to feel low about yourself. You have low self-esteem. You don't feel good enough. You don't feel like you should be loved, right? So you grow up with that, and it affects us all differently. So for me, it made me a bit of I overcompensated for all that by being an overachiever. But being an overachiever, it did drive me to my successes, but it also led me to my downfall because I ended up suffering with depression and PTSD and trying to keep up with this persona, right? So, I'm fast forwarding everything, of course, and I had to file for bankruptcy because I couldn't keep up with my business. I couldn't keep up with my finance. And then fast forward over time, I had to heal myself, figure out how to get out of this space, how to get back on my feet, get out of bankruptcy, and obviously heal. I think for that reason, I had a prompt, like this burning question. How do you do it? How do you do it without depending on someone or something? That was one thing about me. I've always been very independent and self-empowered. Like, how do I do it by myself, And so that prompted a whole series of events because my question was so powerful and so I was so passionate. Somehow I drew in some energy that was guiding me, and I eventually ended up leaving everything and I went into the wellness and fitness industry. So I joined it in 2010 and I worked and I earned my recognition as health and fitness expert. So now I specialize in healthy weight loss and aging strong. So no matter how old you are, I work with people 40 plus and they think they can't build their bodies. Well, yes, you can. You can build your body back any age.
Yeah, we see it.
Right. keeping up here. And then of course from there I evolved into being a life empowerment coach because I started helping people through seminars and workshops in how to connect back with their inner being, meaning their true selves. That's where all their leverage is. And that's how I healed from my PTSD and depression. I got out of bankruptcy and made a life for myself and built everything back from nothing. So it was really because of the inward journey. And I realized that for everyone, doesn't matter who we are, if we're in this physical body, whatever change you want to make, whatever topic, 80% is an inner game. It's 80% inner wiring, your mindset, your energy from the inside out. You have to recalibrate that energy through mindset work, meditation, breath work, whatever it takes to shift the energy, recalibrate, and then pair that up with the action work you do. Action work alone, it's a long, hard way of going around it. Yeah. So that's sort of where I'm at, and that's what I do now. I teach others to do the same.
That's amazing. Amazing. I mean, you look gorgeous. You look great
Oh.
physically and all of that. And you are one of my friends, so I'm a little biased.
I'll take
But,
it.
you have done so much. And I know your personal story, but our audience doesn't know. So what I'm going to ask you now is, what was your biggest struggle growing up and how did you overcome that? Because like we're all come from a struggle background from our childhood. And a lot of my audience, I wanted to relate to your struggle because I know they all can. So
Right.
what would you say was your biggest struggle?
Right. That's such a good question. If I have to just boil it down to 2 words, victim mentality and always apologetic. I'm always so apologetic. When I was growing up, low self-esteem. I always think I have to be nice. I have to be kind. I have to, because it's noble. It shows that you care if you feel bad about something or feel bad about someone or feel bad for someone. But that's not noble. That doesn't mean you care. It just puts you down a lower frequency and you join them, and you can't help people when you're in a lower frequency. You can't pull people up from down there. You can't lead from behind. So it's like you can't join the poor to be poor enough to be poor and help them. You
Right.
can't join the sick enough to be sick and help them. No, you got to be up here to help them, right? So that means I got to work on me. I have to get rid of that victim mentality. I mean, you're up being beaten. You think you deserve to be beaten and you don't deserve to be loved. But how do you get out of that? That was the
Yes.
tough.
How did you overcome that?
Yeah.
That's
Well, you
a
know
lot
what?
of people relate to you. A lot of women that I talk to, they have that victim mentality. They are going through that still.
A lot of trial and error, and that's why I created the program I do, because I don't think people need to go through all that trial and error. I did all that trial and error, but if someone just held my hand and showed me, here, this is how it works behind the scenes, this is what you should work on right now, it would have helped me so much. But I know that's hearsay because that's not my path. My path was to understand it from the inside out. So maybe I had to go through all of that and really relate and understand it to feel the way I feel and have the compassion that I do. So it's not, something I have to put a front about. I really feel it because I've been through it. So how did I come out of it? Trial and error. Yes, you end up with relationships where you go in it for the wrong reasons. You go in it and you depend on them to make you happy. You wait for them to call you. If they don't call you, think something's wrong.
Right.
If they don't behave the way you want, you get into a fight with them. You want them to see you are right and they are wrong, right? All of that drama, and it hurt one after another. And I realized the common denominator, sure, they were all different guys. They're all wonderful people. But at the end of the day, I take me with me to the next relationship. I can run away from all of them, but I have to fix me. So I had to figure me out. So it was trial and error, a lot of pain. And then eventually I say, I'm going to stop trying to find someone to make me happy. I'm going to do some inner work, focus on myself, feel really happy until I can make myself happy on my own. My joy is non-contingent on anyone or anything. Then I am ready to meet. Then I'm ready to mingle, because now I'm coming from a higher frequency place, and the things I attract will be of the same frequency, not of the lower caliber stuff. So really, it was going back to inner journey work, which is what I teach, because I really believe in that. Everything I try to do from the outside in, nothing has stuck. They last for a moment. I create more mediocrity. Maybe I solve the problem for the short term. Boom, and it comes right back in a different phase, different place, different time. But I needed to not come back. So I had to resort back to inner work. Every single time I divert from it, I had to come right back. I connect deeper. And every time I connect, now I have a team of energy that I work with, that I can hear them, I can feel them, and they guide me. So now I have a different level of understanding behind the scenes of our life. So I don't, I always consult with them before I do things. I always ask questions. It's a constant thing. I don't need to close my eyes anymore and do a whole bunch of routine to hear it or communicate. I
Can
can
you
feel it.
elaborate on them or it? I know you get it. I get
Yeah,
it as well, but
you
others
get it.
don't
Yeah,
get it. They're not.
yeah.
So I would love for you to elaborate a little bit more on that because that is where everybody is stuck. It's like I know what I need to do, I just don't know how to get there.
Do it. I
Even as a
know.
friend,
Yeah, I spent.
yeah, elaborate on that.
Yeah, that's
So
such
to
a
help as
great.
many people as possible out there.
I spent so many years, like 7, probably 8 years now, trying to reverse engineer how I did that and how I connected. So to answer your question, we're not just our flesh and bones that we see, right? You and I know that there's so much more in our life than just physical level stuff. We
So
know
much more.
so much more, right? So we're all energy. And obviously, there's different frequencies. We're in a frequency of dimension where we have physical, but there's other frequencies where there's non-physical. And that's where we came from, right? Before we were human, we were energy. So there is I don't know how to explain it. I don't think I need to explain it, but what it is it is your inner being. Deep down, there's this voice, there's always this intuition. We call it intuition. We call it gut. We call it, some people call it, oh, my higher self, my inner being, my soul, my source, my higher intelligence. Everyone has a different name for it. At the end of the day, it's the same thing, it's just different words. And you're either connected with your inner being in the moment or you're not, based on what you're focusing on. If
Right.
you're focusing on things that are so contradicting to the things you want, you cause so much resistance in your energy, you block them out because that energy is high frequency. You were born as a baby one time. You notice how babies are high frequency because they're
Right.
high vibrational beings. Because look at they're happy, and you look at them and you're happy.
They're happy
Because
all the time. They only cry when they're hungry or they need to be changed.
exactly. So your true self is that you are a high vibrational being by nature. So
Yeah.
when because you were once a baby, but throughout life you grow and you get conditioned by your world to not be as happy anymore. And so you lose yourself. So you lose how to connect to that inner being. The only way to connect to that inner being is when you're in a higher frequency. That's why babies and kids, they're still connected. They're happy. They know how to listen to their intuition. They're not that conditioned by the world yet, right? So what I want to do in my courses and workshops is to bring people back to what they innately remember, who they really are. When you can go back there and you raise your frequency, you start to really receive them. They will tell you where to go, what to do, because that was the agreement that they live the non physical, you live the physical, but you're supposed to merge your physical and spiritual and live as a blended being. Right now, most people are not living as a blended being as they had agreed upon when they came on earth. They're now living separate lives. I have a physical, this is what I'm going to do. And they just exclude the inner being part of them, which is 80% of that inner work I'm talking about. So when
Absolutely.
you include them again, those to answer all your questions. How did I get out of victim mentality? How did I stop being apologetic and become more unapologetic? They taught me that. And they teach you through thoughts, words, and actions. They teach you through insight, impulse, inspiration, clarity. Go here, do that, try that, say this, say that. But you can't hear that and you won't listen if you have resistance.
Which we all do all the
Yeah.
time until
And
we're aware of it.
yes, until you're aware. And by default, here's the thing. Here's the best part about life and how loving it is. By default, we are non-resistant a lot of times, but by default. So what I do in my workshop, I teach people how to do it deliberate, because when you do it by default, you are non-resistance when you wake up initially from sleep. That's a little bit of non-resistance there. You're non-resistance when you're laughing, having fun, and
Right.
relax, right? Because those are the moments that those kind of things can sip in. That's why you live the life you do. By default, we can still create a great life, even if we're not deliberately connecting, because by default, we're always connecting. As a child, the only way I made it through a lot of pain was because by default, I was a child. And as a child, I naturally knew how to find ways to be joyful. So in
Right.
those moments, even though my surrounding wasn't joyful, I knew how to create it. And for those moments, I was able to attract things into my life that's helped me, saved me, guided me, took me away, kept me away from harm. All those things are not random.
No, until you were a certain age, and then you were taught to say, you were told, no, don't do this, don't do that, don't talk like this. And that's when you start realizing, oh
Yeah.
shit, I am something else. I'm not who I am that I've known for past 3, 4 years. I am something else because someone else tell me I am this, I should do this, I should say this. Do you understand? So we were taught to be something that we're not.
Yeah, we've been conditioned and programmed.
Right.
So one of the things, I really learned to add into my programs is how to be that deliberate creator. You include your inner being. You just have to do the work and include them, because once you get a sense of what that feels like to actually have less resistance, you don't want to go back.
No.
You don't, because you see how your life starts to shift. People start to behave different around you, and you're like, you created it. You made that person change because of the way you are. They either disappear from your life because they don't belong in this vibration with you, or they change so they can be still a part of your life.
That's right.
So you are in control all the time, but we have been taken away from the fact that we have that power, that control. So over time, we just believe that conditions dictate our state, but really we dictate our state. And therefore, when we dictate our state, that means we change our mindset, we shift our energy. When we shift our energy, we create our reality from that energy. So all of a sudden, your energy creates your reality, how people in situations respond to you. Now you see how you're like a magnet. So where are you at? What did you calibrate yourself to right now? And you can tell by your life experience and how you feel on the daily where you've calibrated yourself to.
Yeah, the relationships that you're in. I mean, I love you for doing this, for helping people, because I find now at the age that I'm in, more and more I'm realizing how much of the human beings are stuck in that sense, and not because they're not aware, and they're so afraid to open up the gate to learn about themselves, because they're like, shit, I'm gonna get hurt, or this is gonna happen to me. But in truth is, what you're doing is relearning your truth.
Yes, you're living your truth. Exactly. You're just remembering who you really are and it's all about remembering. You just forgot. So what my job is not to try and make you better, not to try to fix you or change you. It's not about fixing and changing, because nothing is to be fixed and nothing to be changed. There's only simply a gentle reminder of who you are, and then the rest will come naturally. Inner being will take over, and my job is done. Right. So that's what I do. My job is done. Once your inner being takes over, you listen to that inner being. But in the meantime, I'll guide you back to it, because that is your only source of leverage if you want to live a happy, healthy life. Right.
Yes.
And the thing about
As
that,
you do, because I see you living your beautiful life, and I love that. And I say, like I said in my intro, your energy, your vibration, it just uplifts people that are around you, because you've done so much work, inner work, to cultivate that in your life, which is incredible. And I want everyone listening to learn from you, to reach out, just reach out, at least learn from your teachings.
I appreciate that. And it takes one to understand and notice another. So thank you to you as well. And one thing I really have to say that's super important: forgiveness. Because even though we are understanding how to connect again, right, the inner being, it doesn't mean our life is hunky-dory, 100% happy, happy, joy, joy. There has to be contradiction. There has to be contrast. Contrast is part of the divine design in this universe in order to help you launch into more, make you want more and better. Without the contrast, there is no launch. So there has to be a contrast, meaning just because you know how to connect again, like just because I know how to connect again, I have my inner being up with me all the time, doesn't mean I don't go through challenges or have sad or low days. That's
Right.
going to happen. That's going to always happen, because you live in this dimension of contrast. That is its divine design by nature. So you're going to be in contrast all day, every day. But the only thing about it is when you're connected again, you take forgiveness as a number one priority. Forgiving of self.
Yourself, yes.
Because forgiveness is a really high vibration. I'm talking it's up there with love, even higher than love. Forgiveness is a high vibration. Anytime you choose to forgive that moment, because it's a contrast that needs to be, it is understandable. When you choose to see it as inevitable, you allow it to pass through. You're not resisting it. You pass through faster.
Right.
And the forgiveness raises your vibration. So if you start with anything at all, start with self-forgiveness. Right there. But you don't have to forgive someone else. You don't have to forgive something else. Just forgive yourself.
Yourself. And I believe that you said that it's even higher than love. And I totally believe that. And relate to it because I too had to forgive myself for a lot of things that I've seen and gone through in order for really loving myself.
And you know the bonus in forgiving yourself is that when you forgive yourself, you naturally forgive others too. It just is part of the deal, right? How you treat yourself, you end up kind of projecting it to someone else as well.
Right.
You know,
And when
just
you forgive yourself, like a layer sheds off and you're happy and you
yeah.
do automatically forgive others.
Yeah. So it has to begin with you. It all begins with you. As much as as much as I in the past like to think that change has to begin from outside, from that person, from this person, for me to be happy, I thoroughly can say that it's out the door. Like I don't even look at that anymore. If I'm not happy, I stop for a moment and go, what can I do? What can I shift? Not what can they do? What can they change? How can they trying to depend on outside conditions to make ourselves happy is like my guides are telling me it's like pushing wet noodle or moving paper clips. That means it's going to take forever. You want to move paper clips?
I'm going to use that analogy from now on.
They're so funny. I love it. All of us have our teams that work with us and play with us, and they're very fun and funny. They actually are like us. That's why we chose to become a group to play in this world as a blended being together.
Right.
When we exclude them, life is not as fun. But when you include them again, that was the agreement. Life becomes fun and you can feel it. You feel joyful, even when people around you are not. So that's how you know you're connected, right? When you don't depend on outside to feel good. Even outside makes you sad. It's okay to be sad, but you let yourself be sad because you forgive the moment. And then you go find a space again where you can pull yourself together. That's because you're connected. So being connected doesn't mean you're perfectly happy all the time. It means you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be frustrated, but it only lasts, let's say, 20% of the time.
Well, that's the beauty about being in line. That's what I want you to even more reiterate more on, because once they learn your way and how you can change your perspective in life, yes, sad things will happen, bad things will happen to you, but it's a difference of either dwelling on that for weeks, months, years, or getting rid of that thought right away.
Yes.
Because you know you're not it. You know your higher self is joyful, is happy, is abundant. It's not that person that is telling you that you have to grieve, you have to be sad, you have to, it's me, me, me.
You're right, right. That's such a good point because I remember when I was in depression or PTSD, every morning I'll wake up. The first thing that floods my mind is everything from yesterday and all the pain of the past. I remember the hurt, the beating, the this and that. I just remember those things. I remember only bad things, like someone had an argument with me. Okay, I remember that. Or I remember the debt. I wake up and boom, and it was so tough. Like, how do you get out of that? Every morning you wake up and the thoughts of the past flood your mind.
Well, it does legit, like, what is that word called? It paralyzes you because you're mentally so exhausted. Your physical body can't take it, can't handle it. So yes, physically you'll be exhausted.
Yeah, it's so exhausting. But then of course, moving forward, fast forward to, having come to this place where I had to do a lot of the inner work, and I created the program so I make the work easy and fun. My whole premise is, well, my guides are telling me it has to be fun and it doesn't need to be complicated. It's supposed to be simple and fun, but we complicated it.
Right.
As humans, we like to complicate things, make them harder, make them take longer. Then we sell the idea of how long it takes, and then we try to make, monetize from it, which is fine, but it doesn't need to take long. It doesn't need to be complicated. It can be a frequency away. You can connect and start being guided today, So it's not about time. It's about, because the only time there is, they say, is now. Now is all there is. So I really like this quote from a master in this space, Lao Tzu. It's like an old ancient philosopher, and he says, if you're anxious, that means you're living in the future.
Right.
If you're depressed, it means you're living in the past. But if you're at peace, it means you're living in the present. So now you kind of know where you're living when you feel. That's why I say in my seminars and workshops, your emotions are your greatest friends. They're always indicating to you where you're living, what you're calibrated to, right? So if you're listening to your emotions, they're always trying to guide you back to your inner being,
Right.
right? They're your compass. So I teach people how to become friends with their emotions, how to see behind the scenes of this world that we live in, because that's how they show me. That's how I learn. They show me so clearly life behind the scenes. So here in the front, in the surface level, they call it. So this is how I've learned to teach it because they taught me this. Here's surface level story, right? Penny was PTSD. She has developed a low self esteem, and now she doesn't think she deserves to be loved, or blah 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 blah. Now she's bankrupt. That's the surface level story. But then what they're saying, but if you go beyond surface level understanding, behind the scenes of our energy world, the higher truth of the matter, it's just because I was vibrating at a lower frequency for so long, I kept attracting more things in that lower frequency, and I can actually see it. So when I start talking to people and they try to tell me negative things about, don't talk to this person, they're not nice. Oh, I've seen this person do bad things. You better, no, no, no. I just listen because I can see behind the scenes, and it's not like the surface level that we tell, because it's a human thing, which is fine. It's good to do that for your own clarity, for your own decision making. But if you want to control your energy and feel amazing and have high frequency, you have to understand behind the scenes and let all that shit go. You're like,
That's
oh,
why we're here today, because everybody
that
wants to
should
feel
go.
that way.
Okay.
Everyone in this world.
Yeah.
And your job is to help us all feel that way.
Yeah, so let that shit go, because I only concern about how my frequency is, because I want to attract the things that make me happy. So if I join you right now, I'm going to lower my frequency to join you, and I'm going to start complaining and gossiping like you are, and now I'm going to drag myself down. I'm going to start attracting things the way you're attracting them. Okay, great. So I have this analogy. They gave me this analogy. I love to take credit for everything, but I can't. Okay, so they gave me this analogy. Human beings actually don't realize they're attracting things to themselves without realizing. Most times they think they're actually focusing on things they really want, but really they're focusing on things that they don't want. And then they wonder why they're getting it, right? And they're not taking accountability, not because they're bad people, but it's because they forgot and they didn't know, right? They didn't mean to. So my job is to help them remember. And here's the analogy that they gave. It's like a buffet. You've been to an all-you-can-eat buffet?
Mhm.
Right? There's all these varieties of foods and choices you can choose from. You're like, oh my God, all this food. And so you can focus. Guys, remember, this is all about focus. Where are you focusing your mindset, right? That's how you shift your energy. So most of us are so bad with our focus. We're focusing on anything and everything, or reacting to the world. We're not deliberately focusing, right? So they're saying, you don't focus on the foods you don't like to eat. You only focus on the ones you want to eat, right? The ones you don't want, you don't demand they remove it. You just work around it. But imagine you actually did. They said, imagine you actually focus on the foods you don't like to eat, and you tell your friend, hey, you know what? I don't like any of this stuff. This is all wrong. It's bad. It shouldn't even be here. What if it lands on my plate? And your friend says, that's not going to happen. Just don't pay attention there. And then you say, yeah, but you don't understand. All this stuff could get mixed in there and it could end up on my plate. And your friend says, oh, that's not going to happen. Just eat your food. Listen, I feel like someone's going to accidentally put that stuff on my plate. And your friend says, how do you know you don't like it? You haven't even tried it. Here, why don't you try this? And then you say, oh my God, I can't believe it's on my plate. See, I told you that was going to happen because I have really good intuition. I'm always right about this stuff. Now, look, it's on my plate. That's how most of us are functioning.
There's a quote by someone, but I got it from Rhonda Burns, the creator of Secrets. She says, if you only ask for what you want, that is all you'll ever get.
Right.
We, as human beings, are always asking for what we don't want. Oh my God, I'm so worried about this. I'm so worried about that. That's going to happen.
Right.
This happened to me in the past. So we're always asking for the things that we don't want in our thoughts, in our mind, and it becomes our reality.
Yes, it becomes
People
a
say to
reality.
me all the time, why are you so happy? What is your secret? I'm like, I don't have a secret. My secret is I always try to think of what I like in every area of my life. And somehow it comes on and falls on my lap. Not that I don't have bad days, I do too, but for most part, I get what I want, whether it's good or bad. I ask for it, it comes.
Right, it comes. It just comes at different times. It may not be when you want it, but it'll come when it comes, right? And that's what they want me to say. You can all have what you want when you want it. It's just the distance between what you want and when you get it is your level of resistance, they're saying right now. Your level of resistance is what lengthens the time because everything is happening right now. Now. There's no past or present. The past and present is a
Yeah.
time dimension thing. Yeah, but as a spirit, it all is now. So you're just a frequency away from what you want. So even, I'm guilty of that. Like I still have moments where I contradict my own thoughts all the time. Like I'd be like, oh, but I
Right.
catch myself. Like, oh, I contradicted my own thoughts. If this is what I want, I'm saying what I don't want. Because most people say that. Oh, you're in a relationship. Are you happy? Oh, I am. But I just wish it was like more like this because I hate it when this happens. I hate it when that happens. I wish it would just stop. Okay, so then I take them from that, what I call the lower truth. The lower truth is I want this person to change. It makes me unhappy. I don't like it when they do A, B, C. So I go, great, those are all your truths, right? But they're your lower truth. They're your default truth, the human truth. Now, you're not just human, you're a spiritual being. So you got to connect with your spiritual being. That means you got to shift focus to higher truth if you want to raise your vibration. What does that look like? So I say default from lower truth, which is going to happen. Forgive yourself. Now let's move to higher truth. Higher truth is what do you really want to feel? How do you want to feel? Because that's what your soul wants. So when someone says, I don't want this, don't want that, well, what you want instead is harmony, don't you? Yeah, I want harmony. You want ease and flow in your communication, don't you? Yeah, that's what I want. Okay, that means you want a deeper connection, ones where you can feel lighthearted again, right? Yeah, that's it. So you see the truth and the difference between lower and higher truth?
Yeah.
And that's what I shift them to do is go to the higher truth. Go to the higher truth. Now your inner being is connected, you're connected, and they'll guide you. Go here, do that, try that. You're more open to it because you're in a different state. In a higher frequency state, you're more allowing and more receptive. You'll hear it and you will trust it. And then you call it, I have really good gut instincts today. You could call it that. Or I have good karma this week. Or I'm going with the flow. We call it all kinds of stuff.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's because you're connected. You're connected.
This is so beautiful. I could sit here and talk to you about this for hours and hours, and I'm going to have you on the show again, because we have so much to talk about. But for today, I wanted you just to help people know where you are, how to find you, because I think you're amazing, and I think you can actually help so many people shift their perspective and live their best life or their head over heels life that this show is about, because that's what we're all here for. It's our birthright to be joyful from the day we're born till the day we leave, our physical body leaves the earth. Because our spirit's always going to be here. We're always here, but never anywhere but here. So while we're in this vessel, we want to enjoy it.
Yes, and they're saying something. They're saying, we want all of you to know that our relationship with you, each of us, is so sacred and so special. And it doesn't have to be inaccessible. And it doesn't have to be, I have to do all these crazy things to connect. No, they said, as soon as you choose to, it will be ongoing. Question,
Right.
answer, question, answer, question, answer. It sounds like magic. It sounds like,
It
but
is. I can't explain it to you. Last night we went out, Raj and I, we met with some friends, and we connected with some old friends, and we looked at each other. There's so many things happened last night that it just blew our mind. For example, to give you a quick example, we're running out of time, but
yeah, of course.
I had written in my journal a couple of weeks ago that by the end of 2024, I will do X. I don't want to mention it just yet because
Yeah, I get it.
and last night I met someone that said to me, "Oh, guess what?" I said, "Well, what do you do now?" Because she goes, "Oh, I'm doing this is my title," and I just, as if someone just threw a cold bottle of water on top of me, and she goes, "What's wrong?" As if you saw how it goes. I'm like, "You don't know what I wrote in my journal 2 weeks ago. It's exactly what I'm gonna do, and you are gonna help me to do it." She goes, "I'm down. We're doing it. We already scheduled it. We put it on the schedule." It was just insane.
You see how they work?
You wish for. Ask for what you want. You don't know how, but it will fall into your lap with different people, circumstances, events, places, whatever it is, it's going to happen.
Yes, absolutely.
Now I want to tell everyone, all our listeners, where to find you, plug yourself. I want everyone to come take your program because it's incredible. You're changing lives, and I want you to change all of my friends and audience lives.
Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, well, my website is pennyphang.com. Phang is spelled Phang, pennyphang.com. And of course, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm Wellness with Penny on Instagram. And a lot of times, how I've kept this workshop and seminar is I kept it private for now. I want to take it public. So you have a goal to take it public. My guys are saying it will go public when you're ready. Ready meaning me. Because I'm a little stubborn, right? I'm stubborn because I'm still doubting myself a bit. Like, oh, should I do it? Should I not? I don't know.
No, you are doing it.
So I have that doubt that I'm
looking back. You're doing it.
Yeah. Every morning, I have my team meeting and they're like, you're ready, but you don't feel it. Just so you know, you're ready. I'm like, okay. And then, of course, Nina comes and goes, oh, Penny, I want to put you on the podcast. We need to talk. I'm like, okay, great. Now I'm glad to talk about it. But yeah, I've been keeping it private.
Where can they find your program? Because I think that's the most important.
Yeah. So you know what? Reach out to me via Wellness with Penny on Instagram or just via my website, pennyphang.com. And then ask me because I have specific dates or I'll put together a group that's private and then I'll get you to involve. So if you reach out to me personally, directly, you'll get information because that information is constantly changing. So
and I'll have all that information on my show notes. But your program, is it one-on-one or is it group coaching?
So there is group coaching and there's one-on-one. So the group so far, I've kept it between 10 to 20 people at a time. Okay. Eventually, it's going to be more and bigger groups and all of that fun stuff, right? When I'm ready. But for now, I want to keep it small for myself because I still want to refine certain things from me, right? Nothing to do with someone else. And so that is from that group workshop and seminar, a lot of people want to do one-on-one coaching. So then we take them over into one-on-one. And that's when we do stuff like this. We're doing it on Zoom. We're doing it on WhatsApp. I use WhatsApp a lot when I'm coaching. It's been such a godsend.
Right. Amazing.
Yeah. So ever since COVID, right? So anyways, WhatsApp, I do a lot of my coaching all on WhatsApp. So they call me the coach in their pocket. Penny, put a penny in your pocket.
Perfect. I'll put you in my pocket. Beautiful Penny that you are. All right. So last question I ask all my guests when they're on the show. So what is your definition of the Head Over Heels life?
Head Over Heels. I love that. So cute. I love the acronym. Makes us so happy. When you know how to create your own joy or peace or any emotion that you love, right? When you can create, I'm going to call it joy, right? Just to sum it up. If you can create joy from within, not willing and not needing, when you can finally drop the word need, wow, now you're living a really good life because you don't need. You know how to create it from within. That means you're joyful even regardless. And you choose who you want and what you want to add to that joy. You no longer need. And that is living a really good life. I think that's really because now you're in control, right? You feel good. And it's all about feeling good. That's it. That's all there is, they said.
That's beautiful, my friend. And you're beautiful. And I appreciate you. And I'm so happy you came on the show. And like I said, I'll have you again. All my audience, all my listeners, please go and stalk my friend Penny. I'll have all the information on the show notes for you again. Thank you. I love you. And thanks for being so good.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you. I appreciate you too.
I appreciate you.
Bye for now.
If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, please hit subscribe and give us a 5-star rating on whichever platform you're tuning in from.
It means the world to us to have your support on our show in this little mini way.
You can also stalk us on Instagram at Head Over Heels Show for more juicy stuff.
If you have any questions, send them via email at us@hohshow.com or DM us on socials.
Thank you for having us between your ears. And as always, we wish you what we have.